What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the two new upcoming packages, the physical infrastructure package, as well as the next stimulus package, as well as what is going on in the world today. Don't forget to hit the like button for us, and let's jump right in. As U.S. COVID cases are temporarily down right now, near a low here for the last 6 months, the world is actually near an all time high in both new cases and deaths, among dozens of new variants springing up. Almost it seems like a new variant every single month. We have doubly mutated strains now and triply mutated strains as well. It's actually so bad around the rest of the world that Japan is considering canceling the Summer Olympics of 2021 and literally considering either postponing or canceling it completely because of how bad the virus is.
But this is the home of the Olympics around here. Do you think the Olympics are safe? I mean, less than 2% of Japan is vaccinated. Are you concerned?
Well, I mean, if you have such a low level of vaccination, of course there's a concern. That's up to the Japanese authorities, what they're going to do in their country during the Olympic season. So I would hope that more people get vaccinated because that low percent is really concerning.
Safe for the games under these circumstances, or do you have concerns?
You know, I do have concerns when you have a lot of people gathering who are not vaccinated, but it's not up to me.
Right.
Let's make that clear because I'm sure we're going to be out of context with a quote. It's not up to me to decide what the Japanese do. They will do what they're going to do.
Now, a growing concern for millions of Americans right now is the eviction moratorium, which is set to end in just a little bit over a month now here at the end of June. In fact, about $53 billion are owed to landlords as part of this basically eviction moratorium where landlords were not allowed to evict people, at least in most states. As you can see here, the Texas Supreme Court actually removed their eviction moratorium on March 31st. The Dallas-Fort Worth area has the third most eviction filings in the country. One renter said they're going to put everyone out the first chance they get, adding that they don't know where him and his son will go. Quote, "We haven't figured that part out yet." This renter says, "My goal was just to make it to the end of the school year and then in the summer. We can make plans and try to reassess the national situation, getting vaccinated, and then make adjustments to our lives from there." But the eviction moratorium was supposed to protect everybody until the end of June. This also comes as one judge actually threw out the eviction moratorium, and that actually caused a huge uproar, and because it was so sudden. And then through negotiations with the White House and the Biden administration, that judge allowed the judgment to actually be temporarily postponed. And it looks like now at this point, it will probably just make it until June 30th, which is when the eviction moratorium is set to expire. Now, a couple different things could happen is number one, they could extend this through a presidential executive order. They also could extend this through the next stimulus package or the next physical infrastructure package, the American Families Plan. They also could let it lapse. And the other thing they could do is they could actually pay for the past owed money through a stimulus check program, the American Families Plan, or even the physical infrastructure plan. That does kind of fit with infrastructure. We're talking about buildings and rent and stuff like that. $53 billion could easily be slipped into the physical infrastructure package or the past stimulus package. This would actually help out A, renters get caught up, and B, would help out the landlords, which a lot of them are mom and pops, average everyday people that maybe took out a loan for one or two rental properties, and they might charge $1,000 a month rent just for a round number, but their mortgage is $800 a month rent. So they don't make a lot of profit on a monthly basis. They do kind of get some appreciation over time of their property, depending on where the property is. But this pandemic has really hurt both the landowners or the landlords, in addition to the renters. We could see something like this in the next stimulus package or the next physical infrastructure package. in the last stimulus package, we did see almost $50 billion for mortgage assistance, rental assistance, and utility assistance, and other types of assistance. So to say that they couldn't do $53 billion to catch up all this past owed money for renters and landlords is something they could do in the next stimulus package. Now, the other thing that Republicans and Democrats are really fighting over, which actually could end up pertaining to stimulus a lot here, is they're fighting over the Democrats want to set up basically a probe or a congressional group to look into everything that happened on January 6th and see if there's anybody to blame here or not. They want to set up an actual bipartisan commission to look into the events that happened before, during, and after the January 6th Capitol riots. Now, apparently, this will have to be voted on by Congress to have this happen, which would mean they would need 10 votes from the Republicans in the Senate. So they would need 60 votes in the Senate because that's the filibuster requires you need 60 votes. The reconciliation card is a way to temporarily get around for a few different bills or a few different packages with only 50 or 51 votes in the Senate. That's how the Democrats passed the third stimulus check package, but they will not be able to do it for something like this because it does not affect the federal budget, which you need. That's one of the criteria for the budgetary reconciliation process. And Democrats and Senator Elizabeth Warren are warning that they want to get rid of the filibuster if the Senate rejects this bipartisan Capitol probe or this bipartisan commission, just to basically look into what happened with the Capitol riot. And this has kind of really renewed the call from the Democrats to get rid of the filibuster, which would mean that they wouldn't need 60 votes ever in the Senate. They would only need a simple majority, which is 50 or 51 votes. I say 50 or 51 because technically the Senate is tied right now, 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. So if you have a 50-50 tie, then there's a tiebreaker vote that goes to the Vice President of the United States, which in this case is controlled by the Democrats, and it's Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. So that is really 51st vote. Her vote counts as the tiebreaker vote and counts as that 51 vote. Now, if they get rid of the filibuster, this would make it so any bill in the Senate from here on out, even for future Congresses, remember that in a year and a half, they go up for re-election, 1/3 of the Senate and all of the House. The House is already like this. You only literally need one more vote, more than 50% in the U.S. House of Representatives. However, in the Senate, you need 60 votes or 60%. And it's very difficult to get bills passed with 60 votes if you don't have basically 100%. You either basically get everybody on board and it's 100% or 99%, or it doesn't pass a lot of times because typically both the Democrats and the Republicans typically vote just completely all together. So you either get everybody or you get nobody. And the Democrats want to get rid of the filibuster going forward, but this could actually benefit the Republicans going forward as well. If the Republicans take over the Senate at any given time, they only need one vote in the Senate to take it over. And most notably, we've seen the reconciliation process or the reconciliation card passed by the Republicans for the 2017 Trump tax cuts. So both the Republicans and the Democrats use this reconciliation process, but it has a lot of limits and it can only be used a few amount of time. If they get rid of the filibuster, both Republicans and Democrats from the Senate, whoever controls the Senate on any particular year, would be able to pass bills with only 50 or 51 votes. However, the recent counter proposal from the Democrats for the physical infrastructure plan, the American Jobs Plan, was swiftly rejected by the Republicans. Now Democrats are considering should they just go it alone and pass this next bill with the reconciliation process.
Well, the White House is reducing the price tag on the president's infrastructure package from $2.3 trillion to $1.7 trillion. That's an effort to try and reach a bipartisan deal with the Republicans. But in the Senate, the GOP is rejecting the counteroffer. They say it is still way too high. Here is White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki yesterday.
In our view, this is the art, I should say, of seeking common ground. This proposal exhibits a willingness to come down in size, giving on some areas that are important to the president, otherwise they wouldn't have been in the proposal, while also staying firm in areas that are most vital to rebuilding our infrastructure and industries of the future.
Steve Ace is with us, editor and CEO of The Dispatch and a Fox's contributor. Steve, always good to see you. Do you buy what she says? Is the administration really trying to seek, common ground, or you fear they Democrats could ram this through?
Well, Democrats could definitely ram this through, and Joe Biden is getting pressure from the left wing of the Democratic Party to do just that. You had Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democratic senator from New York, saying this week that she thinks it's a mistake to negotiate with Republicans, that they shouldn't do this on a bipartisan basis, that they really should push hard to do the kind of infrastructure that the left wing of the Democratic Party would like. So Biden is hearing from the left wing of the party that he ought to just abandon Republicans altogether. Look, I mean, this is how a negotiation works. They came out with, I think, a significant, really high number to start. Republicans countered, and Democrats came back with a lower number. If you talk to Republicans, they will tell you that there are still several problems with the response. It's still too big. It still has a broad definition of infrastructure, including lots of things that aren't really infrastructure. And they don't like the way that Democrats are proposing to pay for it by sort of undoing parts of the 2017 Trump tax cut, and in particular the corporate tax.
Now, Republican leader Mitch McConnell from the Senate says that the Republicans will never go if there's even a single item from the 2017 Trump tax cuts that was passed with the reconciliation process, so no Democratic votes from 2017, that if they try to get rid of anything from the 2017 Trump tax cuts, including tax raises on corporations, that the Republicans won't go for it. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think they should try to pass these next two packages, the fiscal infrastructure package and the next stimulus package, the American Families Plan, with Republican support? Should they negotiate? Or do you think that the Democrats should just go it alone and pass these next two packages via the reconciliation process? The Senate parliamentarian has ruled they can pass two more packages or two more bills this fiscal year alone, which is up until October, with the reconciliation process. They also could, if they realize that they're not going to be able to make a deal with Republicans, they could combine these two bills into one and use only one reconciliation process card and or process vote, and then they could save that other one for between now and October. Then in October, they actually get more reconciliation process votes. So yeah, the Democrats have several different opportunities to pass more stimulus, more packages, and the physical infrastructure package. And really, Democrats are really making their voices known. President Biden was just urged a few days ago only by the U.S. House and Ways Means Committee, which is the actual very influential group in the Democrats from the U.S. House of Representatives. It's actually the group that writes the stimulus check portion of the bills. They actually write the actual language. They have sent a letter to President Biden saying that they want to pass recurring monthly payments or monthly stimulus checks during this crisis, and that more stimulus checks could keep millions out of poverty. This comes directly from the U.S. House of Representatives House and Ways Means Committee. Now, in addition to this, we have over 80 different lawmakers from the Democratic side that now further support direct stimulus checks as a fourth stimulus check update today, 2021, for the next stimulus package. And in fact, they're pushing for monthly stimulus checks. We have two main proposals that have come out from the Democratic leaders. The bill that was introduced in the House of Representatives is for a one-time $2,000 stimulus check, then followed by $1,000 monthly recurring payments that go until 1 year after the pandemic is declared over. So a minimum of 12 months, most likely a lot more. And this is co-sponsored by Rashida Tlaib, as well as Democratic Representative Jayapal, who is the leader of the Progressive Democratic Caucus, which is about half of the Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives. So basically, if you don't get them on board, then you can't pass anything. And the leader of the Democratic Progressive caucus, is in favor of monthly stimulus checks. She's the co-author of that bill for $1,000 monthly stimulus checks. So we really have a lot of support, not only from the House of Representatives, but also from the Senate, with the bill introduced into the Senate by co-sponsored by Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren, that is for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks that would go until the pandemic is declared over by the federal government. So most likely you're looking at 6 months, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. They actually sent a letter to President Biden as well, and it's also signed by over 21 Democrats in the Senate, which is almost half again, as well as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Bernie Sanders. So the Democrats really could just include this in this next stimulus package. Best case scenario, we have monthly stimulus checks. Worst case scenario, we get a single forced stimulus check and maybe another stimulus check in the next package after that. Democrats are already talking about another package after these two because, well, the pandemic will not be over within the next 30 days. And if we look back at history, 2008, 2009, it took us over 4 years to recover from that recession. And most economists say that they should have passed a lot more stimulus back then. That was kind of the start of the modern day stimulus package. And now we've seen they've really ramped it up with this recession. Former President Trump passed 5 stimulus packages, 2 of which had stimulus checks, and President Biden has now passed 1 with 2 more on the horizon. So we're literally looking at 9 stimulus packages, and that's if they don't pass any more after this. So I think the modern day stimulus package, they've realized that it's really a good tool to help out both Americans in their time of need, for example, a once in a 100-year pandemic, as well as the economy. And when we think back to, say, the Great Depression, back from 1929, they learned a lot of lessons from that too. And that is when they actually created the Social Security programs, all Social Security, SSI, SSDI, SSA, literally the Social Security programs, and the unemployment programs. Before that, during that depression, probably one of the greatest ever in the country, there was no unemployment. There was no bonus. When you lost your job, the government didn't kick in and give you half of what you used to make at your job and maybe even additional bonuses during a pandemic. You literally got nothing. If you lost your job, you went from, say, making $500 a week to making 0. So literally, it was a whole different time back then. There was no government support. There was no SSI, SSDI. There was no Social Security at all. Now, Social Security, by and large, if you look at just the main Social Security program, is kind of a pension program. You pay into it, and later on, you receive benefits plus the growth and the income and the government kind of kicking in. So they're really great programs, and they're programs that we learned from a past depression or past recession. The government has also learned, starting back with the 2008-2009 recession, and now reinforced with this recession, that stimulus checks and stimulus packages and everything that we've seen out of these stimulus packages, mortgage and rental assistance, unemployment bonuses, stimulus checks, child tax credits, which are really stimulus checks that are going to start on July 15th. All these different type of programs have really helped to keep the economy up. I mean, the stock market's still at near an all-time high as just one indicator, although the unemployment level is still taking much time to recover. But if it weren't for these stimulus checks and stimulus packages, we'd probably be much worse off today. We'd probably be at a stock all-time low over the last 10 or 20 years. Unemployment would probably double or triple what it is, and we've already had over 20% of all small businesses literally go out of business within 1 year from this pandemic. So this pandemic has been a lot more than just the virus. It's been the economic crisis as well. And that's why Democrats want to pass more stimulus and have more benefits. In fact, Democrats are mad that Republican governors are taking away these unemployment bonuses. Some of them are doing back to work bonus checks of $1,000, $2,000, depending on each state. But Democrats want to pass even more stimulus because of that. They want to basically find ways to get money to the people that they were supposed to get from the third stimulus check package. So I'll keep you up to date with everything. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also share this video with your friends and family so that they know about these different stimulus programs coming out. There's going to be a lot coming out on the state stimulus checks and county and city stimulus programs as well, where you could literally claim free money from these different programs. I'll keep you up to date on all of them. You can click this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on the Amazon FBA platform, where we have already had dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income by selling physical products on Amazon FBA. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.